wild is better than organic. How did we go from this to this? Before agriculture, humans wild foraged, hunted, and procured their food from nature. Now we get our food from grocery stores. There are pros and cons to modern agriculture. The pros, number one, it's easy. You don't need to wait till the harvest season to go get your food or go out in nature to hunt or wild forage for your food. It's cheap. If you think about it, we used to spend a lot of time trying to grow our own food and go and harvest it. So you'd have to spend hours planting seeds, fertilizing the soil, going out in the woods and wild harvesting mushrooms or hunting. All that takes a lot of time and resource. So from a time perspective, I can work a few hours and I can buy groceries for the week for my family versus spending a whole season to procure food for my family. Another pro is you have a lot of variety. I can go to the grocery store, I can get mangoes from the tropics, even though I live here in North Idaho, where it's a pine forest. I can go get cookies, I can get microwave meals, I can get pizza, I can get vegetables. I can get a little bit of everything all year long, even in winter when it's snowing. I can go get food that you normally would not be able to grow in the winters here in Idaho. Just because there are pros with modern agriculture, there's also some cons too. Con number one, there are more man-made toxins in our food than there have ever been in the history of food. I'm talking GMOs, pesticides, non-organic fertilizers, microplastics, Franken ingredients that we don't know what they are, etc. Another con is the environmental impact from monocrop farming, packing a bunch of cattle or other animals in one environment where there is concentrated toxicity. Plus, we also destroy a lot of land to make farms to produce our food. A third con is also variety. So even though it's nice to get the pizza, the mango, the squash, whatever it is you want to get, there's a lot of foods that we don't need and that aren't good for us. We get access to variety that's not good for our health. So the question is, why care? As the old saying goes, you are what you eat. Now, would you rather be a wild, resilient elk or a lazy, fat cow? The reality is, wild food is not equivalent to farm-grown food. And when it comes to diet, you need to decide, do you want to feed yourself high-octane fuel, like a race car? If I fuel a race car with high-octane fuel, it will run better, faster, and longer. So do you want to run better, faster, and longer? Or do you want to have more sicknesses, foggy thinking, lack of clarity? Ultimately, what you eat either makes you your best self or it kills you. You choose. Conventional groceries are full of chemicals like glyphosate, which is the leading ingredient in Roundup, genetically modified ingredients, sugar, and all kinds of things that we have not evolved to consume. These foods are gonna make you weak. Now, certified organic food is better because they're not gonna be spraying Roundup, which is full of glyphosate. There's not gonna be GMOs, genetically modified ingredients. And there's also gonna be less chemical fertilizers and pesticides in general. But the question is organic equivalent to wild food? So if you take a wild elk, for example, if you're gonna go out and hunt a wild elk, that elk is gonna be eating all kinds of variety of food in their natural habitat. They're gonna be fighting off cougars and wolves and other predators. They're gonna be experiencing extreme elements, and they're gonna be covering large distances of land. They'll also be drinking fresh creek water and river water as well. Whereas if you take a farmed elk or cow, that cow is gonna be in a confined exposure. Even if it's 20, 30 acres, elk in the wild have unlimited land to roam. So the cow's gonna be in a confined space. It'll be eating grass hay or foraging from a particular species of grass because the farmer's likely gonna seed his land versus it just being natural grass and shrubs and pine and things like that. That animal's probably never gonna have to fight for its life. It's not gonna ever have to run from predators or compete for mating opportunities. So it'll essentially be a lazy cow. It won't have to do much to survive. It lives a very comfortable life. That sounds familiar. What that sounds like is the modern American lifestyle, where we work from a computer in a cubicle for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then we drive our car where we don't need to walk to the grocery store, buy those groceries, bring them home, microwave them so you don't even need to cook them, and then you sit in front of a TV screen and stream Netflix while you eat your lean cuisine meal at home. And you follow that up with some ice cream, because who doesn't love dessert? So that goes back to the concept of you are what you eat. Sounds a lot like those lazy cows that we're procuring our steaks from. Sounds like we're living their exact lifestyle. Now, you could also take a wild berry bramble like this that's never been fertilized by man in its whole life versus some organic blueberries like these ones, which are grown in a farm, and they're exposed to a totally different lifestyle. Once again, this one will have to compete against its environment, which is trying to take nutrition from it. It's going to be fertilized by natural things like the pines that are falling off the trees, maybe some leaves that fly over, animals, wild animals that are eating a wild diet that come over here and defecate on these wild berry brambles. So this is going to produce fruit in the way that God naturally intended, whereas this is designed to produce more fruit. Is quantity better than quality? That's part of the question. This is a whole berry bramble patch, by the way, we found when we bought our property. It's been growing up and we've been getting raspberries. We get some thimbleberries, we get some blackberries, and there's also some huckleberry bushes around here as well. So which one's more nutrient dense? The wild or the farmed berry? Ultimately, I don't have any scientific proof to back up the fact that wild food is better than organic or agriculturally produced food. But the reality is, our ancestors have been eating wild food longer than any other type of food that has ever existed in the history of humankind. So I wonder, are there more enzymes and things in wild food that help us to break it down? Are there more nutrients, vitamins, and minerals? And also, too, is the chemical profile of the food more balanced in a way that our body recognizes and can do work with? That's my question to you. I believe God knew what he was doing when he created this forest for us to wild forage from and hunt and collect berries the natural way. And I think man really ruins things when he thinks he can play God. And I believe one way we do that is through farming and agriculture. Now, I'm not saying don't buy food from the grocery store. I think we're highly blessed, and I think technology actually helps us get ahead in life. But I believe when we become too reliant on it, there are costs that we have to pay for this technology and for this lifestyle that man has created. So for starters, organic is better than conventional grocery. That's the start. Make sure you're buying all organic grocery items. And second, I think you need to get out in nature and start wild foraging some of your food. So go get out there, go do some research on wild berries, research wild mushrooms, go find a wild foraging expert that you can learn from. Go get a wild foraging book for your local state and region. Go hunting, go fishing, go trapping. Go and procure your food the way that God originally intended it for us in the garden. We are ultimately wild animals, so go get wild, my friend.